Hello, all. I am here at the beautiful downtown Belfast Free Library where I am hanging out with Chat GPT on my phone here. And I wanted to ask GPT a few questions. Okay, seems to be working. Good morning, Chat GPT. I have you in voice mode here, so I may say every once in a while. Apologies in advance. Something is bothering me. But before I ask that, I just want to see if this is the first time I've tried this, see if you can respond to me. So I'm going to click OK on this and see if you can respond to me over my phone using voice, if that's an option. I just want to check that first. So I'm sending that prompt. Chat GPT says, it's thinking, good morning, Sean. I can respond here, and if your app is in voice mode, it should read my reply aloud through your phone. I'm hearing the message. It's text at my end, but you can talk naturally, ums and all. Okay, well, good enough. And hopefully that's coming across the screen there. Okay, great, thanks. Good enough. So I am recording this, and I may upload it, so just keep that in mind if you would. Something is bothering me this morning, and has been bothering me for a while actually, but I'll I can articulate it, I think, pretty clearly this morning, and it is this: Dan Rock was a tangential, not very important witness in this disorderly conduct case, and I protested in front of his restaurant, talked to him about protesting in front of his restaurant about regarding this other case he was not involved in, and then went and protested, and he actually, before I protested, he called the police and he told them that I had told him to call the DA and tell the DA that he, Dan Rock, was lying. Now, that was a lie. When the police investigated it, though, when First Officer Harriman looked into it, she got a message I had left for Dan Rock, and she concluded, as you know, from that somehow that message that that message contradicted Dan Rock's statement. Yet she proceeded as if Dan Rock's statement was true. And she passed it along because he lives out of town. She passed it along to the sheriff's department, and then her and Deputy Dyer together came and arrested me, and I was charged with felony witness tampering. But again, based on this lie, they're just asserting that this lie by Dan Rock is true despite the evidence. And the thing is, Dan Rock did commit a crime. If they wanted to get a conviction, there's kind of a no-brainer for them. But so this isn't about that. They're proceeding despite the fact that it's a lie, despite the fact that it's a crime. They're framing me. They're helping Dan Rock frame me. And it's just, I'm having a hard time getting over that. So if you could just share your thoughts on that, I would appreciate it. Thank you. See if all that got through. It was a long one. Kind of rambled, but hey, I didn't say or too much, I don't think. Looks like it all went through. Chat GPT says, I get why that is bothering you. On the facts, as you describe them, the thing that feels hardest to get past is not merely that Dan Rock allegedly lied, it is that the investigating officer allegedly had evidence tending to contradict the lie. That's not I mean, I know why you say allegedly, but that is the case. That's the fact, just so you know, Chat GPT, although you can't hear me right now. that the law enforcement recognized or should have recognized that contradiction, and yet the case still moved forward as though the false version were true. That is a very different emotional experience from someone made a false report and the police got confused. What you were describing feels like the contradiction was right there and they chose the version that harmed me. And I think that's true. Tell me if I'm wrong. A few thoughts, you say. First, your instinct that Dan Rock alleged false statement matters is sound if he told the police you said something you did not say and the recording message contradicts him. That is potentially important both factually and legally. At minimum, it goes to credibility. It may also go to probable cause, investigative recklessness, malicious prosecution, or impeachment, depending on the exact record. Well, the record is says exactly what I'm telling you. Second, the strongest way to frame this is probably not, they helped him frame me, even if that is how it feels. In court-facing language, I would separate the provable points. This isn't about court, I should have said. I told GPT. But anyway, Dan Rock made a materially false accusation. Yeah, that's just it. The available recording message contradicted that accusation. Yep, also true. Officer Harriman nevertheless treated Rock's accusation as true or failed to fairly account for the contradiction. Absolutely true and demonstrable. That false or unsupported accusation became the basis for a felony witness tampering charge. Yep, facing 5 years. That framing preserves the seriousness without requiring you, me, to prove a subjective conspiracy unless you actually have evidence of one. Yeah, well, no, they admitted that they conspired, if you will. They collaborated to do this arrest. That's a matter of record. So given that it was based on a lie that they knew was a lie, and there's nothing in the report. I mean, I think I showed GPT the report. There's nothing in there that everything I'm saying is just is demonstrable, as it's obvious. Anyway, third, the legal significance may turn on a narrow issue, whether even accepting the actual voicemail message you conduct satisfied the witness tampering statute. If the real communication did not ask Rock to withhold testimony, change testimony, avoid process, lie, or improperly influence an official proceeding, it didn't, none of those, explicitly the opposite of that, in fact, then the charge may be vulnerable, not just because, again, this isn't exactly about the charge, but not just because Dan Rock lied, but because the corrected facts do not fit the statute. Well, both are true. Fourth, emotionally, I think the part to keep reminding yourself is this: your anger is understandable, but your strongest leverage comes from disciplined reconstruction. I guess so, yeah. The more calmly and precisely you can show the chain, false statement, contradictive, office knowledge, charging decision, resulting harm, the more powerful the point becomes. A good courtroom safe sentence might be, the problem is not merely that Mr. Rock made a false accusation. The problem is that the available evidence contradicted that accusation, yet the investigation and prosecution proceeded as though the accusation were true. That is probably the core of it. Yeah, that's basically it. Okay, yeah, so, yeah, I guess that's more court-friendly language than being framed or that there's a conspiracy, but it still kind of amounts to the same thing. And one practical note, since ChatGPT is telling me, since I said that I'm recording and might upload this, I would be careful publicly saying they framed me as a settled fact. I would say something more like, in my view, the record shows that a false accusation was accepted and used against me despite contradictory evidence. That says almost the same thing, but is harder to attack as exaggeration. Well, sure. I mean, I admit that the framing language is a little bit hyperbolic, but it's also pretty accurate. I mean, by most people's definition of framing, I don't think what they're doing to me. Dan Rock gave them a lie, and they all decided, Officer Harriman, Officer Dyer, and now the district attorney have all decided, despite the evidence, to proceed with the charge. So it's collusion. If it's not conspiracy, it's at least collusion, toward a similar purpose, which is persecuting me for my free speech. It's all illegal, on their part, regardless. It's all a violation of my rights. So now I guess I'm just saying that to, to you all in YouTube land out there now. So thank you, Chat GPT. I guess I'm gonna leave it at that. Just, but hopefully, you all see why that's maybe bothering me. And thank you, for bearing witness. And keep fighting. Peace, and have a wonderful day.